Walk upstairs in your house on a July afternoon, and somewhere around the 8th step, the air changes. It stops feeling like your home and starts feeling like the inside of an oven. Here's the part nobody tells you. While the thermostat downstairs reads a comfortable 76, the roof deck 4 feet above your pillow can be sitting past 130 degrees, hotter than the sidewalk outside. And it presses down on your bedroom ceiling every single afternoon, all the way to the end of September. In an old almanac of these tricks, there are 4 fixes for it, ranked the honest way, by what they actually cost against what they actually save. Real dollars, real degrees, and exactly where each one stops working. Because here's the catch. One of these 4, the one most folks reach for first, can quietly send your electric bill up. Stick with me and you'll see which one. These are old Amish and farm family ways. For generations, families near old Amish settlements have kept a 2-story house livable through July, with no compressor humming out back. Not because of any secret, because their houses were built to shed heat, and most of ours were built to trap it. By the end of this video, you'll know the 4 ways heat gets into your upstairs, the order to fight them in, what each fix costs at the hardware store this weekend, and the one mistake that makes everything worse. Fair warning, none of these is magic. Here's exactly where each one falls short. Here's the one idea that holds this whole video together. Heat only gets to your bedroom 3 ways. It radiates down off a baking roof. It conducts through your ceiling. And it rides the air through every crack you can't see. So here are all 4 fixes right now. No padding. Seal the attic floor, about $25. Top up the insulation, the biggest total saver. Foil under the rafters, $60, sunny climates only. And ventilation, often free if you skip the trap. That's the list. The next 20 minutes is what the sellers won't tell you about each one, the real numbers, and where each one fails. Cheapest per degree first. Fix number 1 is the one nobody sells you, because there's nothing much to sell. About $25. A tube of caulk, a can of spray foam, and a roll of weather strip. What you're buying is the seal between your house and your attic. Here's the how. Start at the attic hatch. Weather strip the lip. Add a hook latch so it pulls tight. Then get up there with a headlamp and chase the gaps. The holes where wires and pipes pass through the framing. The gap around the bath fan box. The seams over interior walls. Caulk the thin cracks. Foam the big ones. One Saturday morning, start to finish. Now the why, and this is the part that makes the whole video make sense. Warm air rises. Builders call it the stack effect. Your house works like a chimney. Air leaks out at the top, and that suction pulls outside air in at the bottom, all day, every day. In July, that means the air you paid to cool is being drawn up into a 130-degree attic through every gap around that hatch. Think of a coffee thermos with the lid sitting crooked. The steel doesn't matter anymore. The crack is the whole story. Run the numbers on just the hatch. A standard 22 by 30 hatch with a 1/4-inch gap all the way around, that's 26 square inches of open hole. You would never sleep with a softball-sized hole punched through your bedroom ceiling, but that's what most houses are doing in disguise. Here's how to see it for yourself. On a hot afternoon, hold an incense stick along the hatch edge. The smoke gets pulled toward the crack, dragged up by the leak. Then run a cheap infrared thermometer across the ceiling. The drywall right under a leaky hatch reads hot, while the same ceiling 10 feet away sits cooler. Often a 10-degree difference, right there on the gun. A 10-degree stripe of heat pouring through one lazy seal. Folks who air seal an old attic come down 3 hours later looking like coal miners, and then notice the strangest thing the next July. The upstairs stops smelling like hot dust on summer evenings. That smell is attic air leaking down into the house. Once you seal it, it goes quiet. Maybe yours will too. Cost and limits, honestly. $25, 3 hours. The EPA's Energy Star program figures air sealing plus topped-up attic insulation saves about 15% on heating and cooling. Sealing is the half of that pair you do first. But sealing alone won't stop a baking roof from radiating down. If your insulation is thin, your ceiling still runs warm. That's fixes 2 and 3. And be clear, you seal the attic floor. You never block the attic vents up at the eaves and ridge. The attic itself is supposed to breathe. Keep that sentence. It comes back at number 4. Number 2 is the biggest total saver on this list, and the most boring. Good. Boring is what saves money. What it is. Bringing the insulation on your attic floor up to where it should be, including a lid for that hatch you just sealed. The quick test costs nothing. Stick your head up there with a tape measure. If you can see the tops of your ceiling joists, you're under-insulated. The DOE charts call for roughly R38 to R60 across most of the country. Picture 12 to 16 inches of fluff, wall to wall. How? Lay bats crosswise over what's there, or have cellulose blown in. Build a simple foam board box over the hatch. $25 in materials. Why it works. Insulation is just trapped air slowing heat down. Conduction. It's a winter coat for your ceiling. And in July, the coat works in reverse. It slows that 130-degree attic from pressing through the drywall into your bedroom. Try the thermometer again. Point it at a ceiling under a bare, under-insulated patch and it reads hot. Slide it over a properly insulated bay and it drops several degrees. You can feel the difference with your hand, too. 7 degrees. And that warm drywall radiates onto your bed all night long, well after the sun is down. That's why your bedroom is still stuffy at midnight. In plenty of old Amish farmhouses, you'll still find a 2-foot layer of wood shaving fill a great-grandfather poured above the ceiling boards back in the 40s. 80 years on, it's still doing its quiet job. Good insulation is the least exciting heirloom a house can have, and the most faithful. Cost and limits. Do-it-yourself top-up on a typical attic. A few $100s. Blown in by a crew. More, but fast. 2 honest warnings. First, order matters. Seal the leaks before you bury them under 16 inches of fluff, because nobody goes looking for a wire gap under there afterward. Second, keep the insulation out of the eaves. Fit foam baffles so the soffit vents keep breathing. And past the recommended depth, every extra inch buys you less than the inch before it. There's no prize for an attic stuffed to the rafters. Number 3 is the famous one, the foil. The $4 Amish fix you've seen all over your feed. It's real. The physics is honest. And it is also the most oversold fix on this list. Both things are true, so let's take them in order. What it is, a radiant barrier. Reflective foil stapled to the underside of your rafters. Real cost for a real attic. About $60 for the rolls, not $4. The $4 version is a single strip along the ridge, a taste of the effect. Why it works. On a clear July day, your shingles run 150, 160 degrees. That roof deck becomes a broiler element. It doesn't need to touch anything. It radiates infrared straight down onto your insulation for 6-8 hours. Shiny aluminum reflects most of that radiation back up, better than 9/10 of it. It's a windshield sunshade for your whole attic. Same physics, same 5-minute logic. How? Staple it foil down to the rafter undersides, leave the air gap, stop short of the ridge and eaves so the vent path stays open. Never lay it flat on top of the insulation like a blanket. Hold that thought for the limits. Measure the insulation surface under the hottest bay before a radiant barrier goes up. Then after, and you'll see a drop of roughly 20 degrees at the same 4 o'clock hour. The roof deck overhead still bakes. The difference is where that heat now stops before it reaches your ceiling. Now the part the foil sellers leave out, and honestly most of the $4 miracle videos are selling you step 3 while skipping steps 1 and 2. The Department of Energy puts radiant barriers at 5 to 10% off cooling costs in warm, sunny climates. Texas, Arizona, the Deep South, worth your Saturday. Vermont, Seattle, the Upper Midwest, close to nothing. No broiler, nothing to reflect. And in winter, it can even work a little against you. And in humid country, use perforated foil and keep it up on the rafters. Foil laid flat over insulation is a condensation trap. Trapped moisture, then mold. If a video promises that foil alone will cut your bill in half, that's not physics. That's marketing. And number 4, here's the one flagged at the very top. Ventilation. Done right, it's the cheapest fix here, sometimes free. Done the popular way, it's the only fix on this list that can raise your bill. Done right means passive. Cool air in low at the soffits, hot air out high at the ridge or gables. The stack effect again, working for you this time. No watts. An old dairy barn has a cupola on the roof for exactly this reason. Amish families in Lancaster County have moved heat with nothing but a hole in the right place for 150 years. Your ridge vent is the same idea wearing modern clothes. The free how. Get up there on a bright morning and look toward the eaves. You should see daylight at the soffits. If insulation has slumped into them, fit the baffles from fix 2, and the whole attic starts breathing again. Check that intake roughly matches exhaust, and most attics are done. $0 if the vents exist, and just need clearing. Now the trap, the powered attic fan. The logic feels right. Attic's hot, fan blows hot air out, what's not to love? Here's what. That fan moves more air than your soffits can supply, so it pulls the rest from the easiest place. Your house, up through every ceiling gap you didn't seal. Your air conditioner cools the bedroom. The fan lifts that bought and paid for air into the attic and throws it at the sky. The meter spins, the upstairs barely changes. Homeowners who install one and then compare bills to the year before sometimes find them higher, not lower, because the fan was pulling cooled air out of the house. Seal the attic floor first, and only then does a fan stop stealing from the rooms below. You can see it with a $2 smoke pencil. Hold it at a ceiling can light with the fan running and watch the smoke get pulled up into the fixture. One more thing about that fan, and it's not about money. In a tighter house, strong attic suction can backdraft a gas water heater, pulling exhaust back down the flue into your home. That's carbon monoxide. If you run gas appliances and you're set on an attic fan, have the draft checked. No electric bill is worth that trade. So the honest ranking for number 4. Clear the passive vents first, often free. If you already own a powered fan, fix one comes first. Then the fan can earn its keep in some houses. But ceiling plus passive venting beats it nearly every time, for 0 watts. Before the recap, one more. A $0 habit the old-timers ran every summer evening, regular as the radio news. They called it chasing the cool. Some of you grew up in a house with a giant whole house fan in the hallway ceiling, the one that rattled the doors when it kicked on. This is that fan's little cousin, and it costs nothing. At dusk, the old rule was, when the porch rail stops feeling warm under your hand, open one downstairs window on the shaded north side of the house. Then open the hottest upstairs window on the far side and set a box fan in it blowing out. 20-30 minutes and the whole house swaps its air. The fan throws the day's heat out the top, while cool evening air pours in low and walks up through the rooms. On a night that cools off, you can watch an upstairs in the mid-80s settle into the mid-70s within the hour. Close to 10 degrees for the cost of a fan you already own. Come sunrise. Windows shut, shades down on the west side by 2. You're banking the night's cool inside the walls. Limits, same as always. It only works when the night actually cools off. In a heat wave with 85-degree midnights, keep things shut and lean on fixes 1 through 3. In a swampy week, you'll pull in moisture along with the cool. And when there's smoke on the air, the windows stay closed. No argument. So here's what you actually learned today. Heat reaches your bedroom through 3 doors. It rides leaking air. So you seal the attic floor for $25. It conducts through a thin ceiling, so you top the insulation up to R38 or better, the biggest total saver. And it radiates off a baking roof, so in sunny country, $60 of foil under the rafters earns its keep. In cloudy country, it mostly doesn't. Ventilation. Let the attic breathe for free, and treat the powered fan as a last step, never the first. Seal, insulate, reflect where the sun is strong. Breathe. In that order. That's dollars per degree. Now it's your turn. Tell us in the comments what state you're in, how old your house is, and what your upstairs reads at 4 in the afternoon. We read every single one, and your numbers help the next family that finds this video. If you want the one-page checklist of all 4 fixes with the real costs, the Field Edition down in the description has it, free. Next time, the $3 bucket farm families use to clear a whole yard of mosquitoes. Safe for the honeybees, safe for your dog. And why it works when the sprays don't. Spend less, live more. See you then.